Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon listeners. It's me 𝒊𝒏𝒇𝒐𝒓𝒆 coming back on Facebook Live on the Open Gambia platform. If you just bear me a minute, let me share this video and we can start the program. Okay, thank you very much. Today is Thursday, the 9th of February 2023. The time is just got about 8 minutes to 6 o'clock in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. We are going to talk about this rampant systematic corruption in the Gambia, which is all over the place. It's rampant, local government, and every aspect of our Gambian life right now. I would want to start this conversation by playing a recording. Before I play the recording, just a minute. Yeah, this is destabilizing the nation. It's not sustainable. There's no country or institution that does not have a problem of corruption. There's no country. I don't want to take time out of sight the corruption right now we are fighting for against in the United Kingdom, especially during the COVID period, what the conservative donors and other people have done. Systematic. But the difference is we have agents to fight it. Within political parties, they will fight against corruption. Even though, yes, you will have people that will come and defend. The press will come out to fight. Civil society will come out to fight. Civilians will come out to fight. But in our case here in Gambia, it's so rampant that hardly. The only time people will say something is if they want to use it as a political capital to advance themselves to go and do the same thing or even worse. The only other time that groups will come out to say something if it is against another group or people they perceive as their rivals or at the extent of even terming them as enemies. They'll come and speak about that corruption. Or individuals who come out and speak out that corruption because it affects them directly. Every form of corruption would affect you directly or indirectly. This is what we have. There is no will, political will. In fact, In fact, there's a systematic effort with the government and the people, and people influential in the Gambia, to fight against fighting corruption. There's a systematic willingness to do that. What we have is the lack of the political will. I have seen in some quarters say people coming out, oh yeah, Barrow now know that we don't have the laws to fight corruption, or Barrow knows that we don't have the laws to fight, to deal with the TRRC. That's a lie. If anybody thinks that we don't have laws, that's a lie. Which law did we use to prosecute, Ture? How to call it? Yankuba Ture. Which law did we use? Which courts did we use? Which court did we use? Which law did we use? We have enough laws to deal with all aspects of corruption. How many laws, how many legislations did we have on economic crime alone? On economic crime alone? And we come out to say, oh, there's not enough laws to do it. There's no political will to do it. But this is to understand where we are today. Corruption is the mother of all evils. And corruption have destabilized our country. People might think, oh, Gambia is stable. Gambia is not stable. We have ticking time bombs just ready, waiting for time for it to explode. And there's nothing we're doing. There's nothing absolutely that we are actively doing, that our government is doing to resolve the issues, to mitigate these circumstances surrounding these problems. There is nothing absolutely the opposition is doing. The same goes for civil society. Yes, there are individuals, and few of those, and these are not the most privileged individuals. I mean privileged in a sense, in a position to really effect that change. There are few of them. And that's where the problem is. Until we create a critical mass, until we have those institutions that stand up, we will continue to be destabilized. And it's a matter of time that those bombs will explode. This issue about tribalism is not that any tribe in the Gambia hate the other. No, absolutely not. It's because of corruption and politicians using what seems to be our defense in order to divide us and control us. That's what they do. I will not spend time here to explain. We are not talking about tribalism. But just to point it out, and any conscious Gambian can see this for themselves. Because there is no individual Gambian, for that matter, that can raise their hands to say that they are uniquely of one tribe. Then if you are not uniquely of one tribe, you cannot systematically bring out a legislation or a policy that can only benefit one tribe. It's impossible. Because whatever policy you bring, if it is good, is going to benefit the entire, regardless. What my difference is the ability to access the resources for that policy, but not because of their tribe. There's no individual Gambian who can raise their hands to say that they are representing a particular tribe. That's a lie. Or they are elected to represent a particular tribe. That's a lie. We have our nephews, our nieces, our cousins, our everything to belong to other tribes, our friends. How can we legislate against? The most problem we have is nepotism. You find that we try, my Sierra cousin, my Sierra niece, or my Sierra or Jola cousin, or my Jola niece, I give a job to. But it's not because of his Sierra or Jola, because it's my niece, or my cousin, or my friend, or it's someone that I can use to influence. I put him as my accountant. No relationship, but our characters are the same. I know him from other things that we deal with together. This issue about tribalism, yes, politicians are using it. It's not that people, Gambians for that matter, or tribes for that matter, no, these are individual politicians pursuing this. To think that these people will be loyal to them because they belong to the same tribe. But in most cases, not because of the tribe. Yes, it happens to be that person belongs to the same tribe, and as it goes on, it will be seen. But this is about that person being loyal to you, and you happen to know the person through your connections or your relationship. But it's not because of that person come from the same region or nothing else. It's because of the person who do what you want them to do. The problems with youths, will be associated, and the so-called government supporters, because I don't call them, I know they're not supporting the government, they're just opportunists. Those vocal ones, they will point to run to blame the parents. Yes, parents have responsibilities. But the environment influences youths more than the parents can do. Environment will, if you become a parent, you'll know. The time you spend with your children are far less than the time they spend with their peers and the time they spend outside your control. The environment. The system that allow cocaine and every form of drugs to be available and cheaper only next to the producing countries, when our country is thousands and thousands of miles away. What facilitated it to be in the country? When we have governments that doesn't look at policies that will empower the people, that will create jobs, that we have government that would rather use our land to empower few so-called business people I call speculators, not invest properly in agriculture, not to create anything. Since when? Since after the First Republic. As I said, I'm a critic of the First Republic. But since after the First Republic, what can we point to say that it's a job creation mechanism a government have produced? Not the IMF, not this government. It goes on. The lack of security sector reforms, lack of investment to empower communities in order for them to have stake and to have ownership, so that they would really care or have the means to really impact in the development of that country. We can go on the list. What we see is individuals becoming millionaires overnight, and we can associate their riches through their relationship with government, supporting of government. The same thing that led us to the 22 years of the dictatorship. When we have the Agricultural Development Bank, it became bankrupt, and many Gambians, young Gambians, you tell them, they will not know. There was an Agricultural Development Bank. It bankrupt because of patronism in what political patrons. Nothing came out of it. No one got locked up, but Malta was full with what? Underprivileged Gambians committing minor crimes, petty crimes. Youths arrested for smoking weed and other crimes, shoplifting, break-ins and other offenses, but not corruption. Where the Gambia Commercial and Development Bank, these are one of the best initiatives that we ever have, went bankrupt because few Gambians were privileged to take loans and refuse to pay, knowing that nothing comes out. Nobody got locked up. Few people got their assets taken away, And it's only possible because another government came. There were citizens that took our money from the Commercial Development Bank and went on to take ads on newspapers to say that let nobody dare even buy their properties. That's how much they were emboldened. There was the cooperative union. There was the NTC, National Trading Corporation. You see, the best of ideas went bankrupt because of corruption. As I say, corruption, not only theft, many layers. Right now, we went through a system even worse, when an individual and his cartel members took ownership of everything. I know Gambians, you say, oh, in Yahya Jammeh days it was only Yahya Jammeh stealing. That's a lie. That's a lie. What was happening in some instances, yes, because of who Yahya Jammeh is, he will end up bouncing on the same people that facilitated the transactions, because that's what Yahya Jammeh do. He's a cowboy, he's a gangster. He will realize that during the transaction, to help him to enrich himself, you have benefited one way or the other without his approval, then you'll be punished for it. They started to know how to dispose of assets before Yahya Jammeh find out. It wasn't only Yahya Jammeh. It was not only Yahya Jammeh. The same example I will give. The importation of drugs or what trafficking or whatever you call them, Yahya Jammeh was cahoot with the cartel. Yes, control. He took control over the cartel to the extent of fighting international cartels because he robbed them of their stockpiles. And when he knew that the international community were onto him, he revealed one of the stockpiles in Bonto, as if no, he knew that he was compromised, but he continued. Today, the same people who work for Yahya Jammeh, work with Yahya Jammeh to facilitate the importation, are in the country, operating and close to this government than ever, sponsoring the government political parties than ever. They will not be arrested. How many? I can go on just to point to three major ones. The 3 tons of cocaine. No senior cartel member have been arrested. It will never happen. Yeah, the small ones will be fried up. They are not cartel members. They are not cartel members. Probably they didn't even know what they were involved in. But the real people that have the means to influence, to create a buy-in, to build the infrastructure, to bring it into launder the money. Remember, when they bring that tons of drugs, it has to be shipped out. You have to be really connected. They will not be arrested or prosecuted. 𝒉𝒆𝒏𝒈, who was just an agent walking around, probably he might claim his name would be put to clear a container. You think if he knew that it was drugs, he would allow his name to be used to clear a container? The guy cannot even afford a lawyer. The operation of the drugs that they impounded in the high seas in Senegal, that was run from Benton Bridge, the most sensitive position, where we have all forms of all units of security there. We have immigration, we have police, we have this army, we have army intelligence, we have the SIS and everywhere else. It was run under this in there. Not one was arrested. Not one Gambian. And they always give chance for these people to flee. And they said, oh, the people responsible are out of our jurisdiction. The latest one, the almost a ton found in Salaji. Go and find out. the person who was in charge, who was in charge of that property. You would not even hear the press. They know who it is. The press will not, because they are compromised. Lamin Sedikan, his friend, who is now his in-law, a lawyer in the United Kingdom here, 𝒊𝒏𝒇𝒐𝒓𝒎𝒂𝒕𝒊𝒏𝒇𝒐𝒓𝒎💂 owns the property. Lamin Sedikan built the property and was looking after the property. And Lamin Sedikan put his nephew, the one arrested, I think Fofana, Yusuf Fofana or something Fofana, to look after the property. Lamin, obviously, this is how it happened. But why was he not arrested? No, they will give them the benefit of the doubt. And you think 4 Sierra Leoneans will come to the Gambia and able to import? Go and find out how the importation of drugs was done. And go and find out the role when you import drugs, to export it, you need other means, be it the timber trade. The timber trade is part of drug trafficking to be taken out. The maritime, the fish trade is part of the means of exporting drugs. That's why you will, in most cases, find these people owning businesses that are linked to either timber trade or the dissing, because it gives them opportunity to export the drugs. Give them the opportunity to export the drugs. Go and find out how cocaine leaves the Gambia and get to Macau in China, or Dubai and other places, and who are the people involved. And if you ask them, they are happy with Adama Barrow being their president, as they never had a problem with Yahya Jammeh being their president until Yahya Jammeh went mad. Now they feel scared of their safety. But Adama is one person they operate and nothing comes out of it. Go and find out the influence that Lamin Sedikan have in that country. Go and find out the relationship with Lamin Sedikan and Adama Barrow. And go, let the list goes on. It's corruption. That's why our youths are suffering. Go and look at the venues. Then cocaine is available in the Gambia. And know the people who own those businesses. Who are they related to and who are they connected to? But no, the young Gambians in the streets, which I am not encouraging, selling weed and stuff like that, smoking weed, will be arrested. But not the big. This tells us that this corruption is systematic. The corruption is rampant. We'll come to local government. It's in every institution. It's encouraged. And it's part of the political process. That's how entrenched it is. It's part of the political process. And it's always a state capture. Don't think during our days that the cocaine trade was not available. Then it was more of heroin. And it was coming from Pakistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan. And go and find out who were involved. What infrastructure was built. An airline was operating in the Gambia called the Gambia Air Shuttle. Pakistani and other nationals. It's mainly heroin operations. Go and find out some of them who are most committee members who were part of the drug trade, the triangle of drug trade. You see their wealth, you look at the business they do, they hardly have a customer for a day, but they were living the life and they were respected members of our community. It happened. And this what deteriorated to what we had Jammeh, and Jammeh inherited, and Jammeh just make it worse, and now we are going worse than that. Because there's no control at all. If we look at the structures of every corruption, we can see the lack of political will to fight it. And the lack of political will within our political parties itself to reform our political parties, to have that internal democracy necessary, again, is just a further indication of we are not ready to fight corruption. Because any of those political parties that are likely to win elections, if they had gone in, the state capture will continue. You know, some of these people, or most of these people in the state capture, they hate their pets. They openly support the government. Some might even be smart not to openly support the government. They would label it as, no, it's the national interest, we just working with the government, with president. That's what they go on to tell other opposition leaders. No, you know, we have to be seen with working with government, this like this. They hate their bets. They will always be on top. This is the problem we have in the United Kingdom. We have technically two-party states. It's either conservative or Labour. And this state capturers always make sure they determine the leadership in these parties and the success of these parties. And whenever they come into government, they control them. Technically, that's what we have as a policing. Until you have a system where the democracy is so progressive, there are likeliness of other people coming. But the good thing about democracy is you have other institutions apart from political parties, be the press and civil society, and the independence of institutions for that matter, to fight corruption. In our case, once you have the state capture, the state controls everything. You see, that's why when we talk about looking into the structures we have as a government, once you become the executive, the president, you have a power to appoint. Not even been vetted. You appoint the chairman, the general manager of a corporation. You appoint the board members of the corporation. Now you can determine who becomes the financial directors. You determine everything in that institution. When you have a local governance, there's a constitution that empowers you through the person you appoint as the Prime Minister of Local Government and Lands to oversee local governments. The local government hardly have any power. Power was not devolved. The resources are not devolved. To state categorically clear in the constitution that this is how much percentage go to every region. Give powers. Make Gambians to want to be there. Give them stake. No. The system is easy. They'll tell you, oh, it's so democratic. I'll tell you, from the Village Development Committee, the president will determine who belongs to the Village Development Committee. That's the way they do it. That's why you hardly see any progressive Village Development Committee in our villages. There might be a certain one or two, but hardly. And there's even a hush of people that understand local governments will tell. From the local development to the alcalos, even the president will determine. Because the minister of local government can sack an alcalo and appoint an alcalo. To the chiefs, to the commissioners. What else? Where is the democracy? Where is this independence? How can we fight corruption when these people don't have power? They can be appointed and removed. We asked for reforms. We didn't have the reforms. But let me just play this. This is a program I did on the 7th of June 2018. And I know one thing people will ask, how did Ben decide to play something that happened 7th of June? How did Ben remember what happened 7th of June or what he said 7th of June? And to be relevant for today? No. As a Sufi, I'm a believer of mistakes. And if you dedicate yourself into what you do and focused, you'll be surprised how things happen. We are not in June. It's like even the algorithms in social media. Probably if it was February, you said, oh, it's the anniversary, you will have a reminder on Facebook. No, it's a SoundCloud. But it happens when we talked about this corruption, talk about the 𝒕𝒊𝒂𝒊𝒂𝒊𝒂, talk about this crisis we are. Someone point out this program that, oh, I was just listening to SoundCloud. Oh, I'm surprised that you said this, said that. Let me just point to this and we'll move on, because it's just few minutes and I'll move on to this. If you give me a minute. And as I said, this is let me try the 11. Let me see. Okay, 11 minutes. I am going to play the 11-minute mark of the SoundCloud. Where's the SoundCloud again? I'm going to play the 11-minute mark of the SoundCloud. 9, 10. Okay, and I'll explain what it's all about. Let me just play it and let me put the volume up and we'll get to hear it.
Criticize this national development plan. Tooguñ consult Gambians yi xooluñ loo xam ne mooy diga xooluñ loo xam ne mooy diga this national development plan du diga Gambia foog ñu am a true transition suñu amul a transition mënuñoo develop a national development plan foog ñu look at the immediate issues ñu deal with it foog ñu remove suñ problems. Gambia, we are distorted as a community, we are distorted as a nation, we are distorted in all forms of religion. Anything is not right, then when you're down, bring a plan. Then them whole plan, then them review from toll. Transition will fail. Continuity is in your arm. The family did not sing. The signal been you go. President Adama Barrow Magitao for make a president for 15 years. His constitution be look master what happened. What happened? You know, you have competition of the commission was so bad. I didn't know. You came in to make us only. It's not about new fanega. La fades nakala ko tege. Didn't jelo. Si yaya jamelum nakala ñu la xewon duñu ko la xewal. Naka la ñoo tegale constitution bi luñ seetek loolu yëpp nañ ko seet loolu fa la wax bi nekk Adama Barrow war fee mun a toog 15 years nañ leen mais soo ne lu wax moo am moo tax buñ leen doon wax bi MOU bi ngeen foog ne ñun dafa am luñ bëgg si MOU boobu leneen déedéet Gambien lañ bëggoon xamoon nañ ne suñ si génnee lii la ñoo indil waaye ba tey asawut su soobee yàlla su politique bi su wéru koor bi passé nañ dugg si lii yëpp ñu delloowaat ko xëy na fu mu ne nii ñeneen ñi gis nañ luñ leen doon wax dinañ jóg gis ne suñ toogee Gambie bi dinañ dellu continuer di 22 years of dictatorship lan tax ma ne 22 years of dictatorship bi dinañ ko waxtaan si biir luy nekk di xaw ni dinañ gis ne the same system bu fa nekkoon lu fa jàppe woon dictatorship mu fa toogee loolu la Adama Barrow jógal mooy di businessman mooy all those actors ñoo xam ne ñoo nekkoon si APRC bi nekk so-called businessmen nekk so-called influential people tey daw dem laaxu gannaaw Adama Barrow léegi tey loolu ñoo bëgg a taxawal Adama Barrow def ko président ban président lañ ko bëgg a def seen président waaye du président Gambie comme luñ amoon lañ bëgg ñu def si réew mi lu mu leen ne moo tax la nga tax ñu ne transition su nekkee ne ñun Degree. Dinañ manjaaw community bi dinaa ubbi laan si but su nekkee ne lii mbiri laan la yëfi suuf la it's not problème yi manjaaw yi it's not problème yi manjaaw community problème yi Gambia la fu nekk réewi Gambia fu nekk ñu ngi coow.
Okay, as I said, sorry for those who did not understand Wolof. This is the reason I do my programs in English now, so that we can all hear it once and for all. But I emphasize the transition. And I went against the NDP. And the mistake I said that it was written by 4 people. No, it was validated by 4 people. I'm not going to call their names. 4 people who did not know anything about the Gambia technically, they've been away for a while. And they never showed concern or interest in what was happening in the Gambia. You cannot just jump and write theory of a development plan when the facts we don't even know are distorted. And I keep on saying distorted of our data. There's a lot which is not accurate in that country. We need to review that. And we cannot move on when we don't have a proper transition. It's going to fail. I talked about the lack of consultation in the NDP. We just borrow for somewhere and just present it. And I emphasize on the continuity. We are having continuity, and that was where we having continuity to the IGM 22 years. It's going to continue. And I talked about Barrow's 15 years. Then, as I understand, I know of Barrow project 15 years. But do you know one thing now, where we are? And this is very important to watch what is happening in Senegal. If Macky Sall successfully run for the 3rd term and maintain himself as the president, the 2-term thing would no more an issue in Africa. We'll not talk about 2 terms. Do you know why? There was a reason why Africa, we adopted the 2-term. And go and find out what were, the geopolitics then. There's something. When we really had bad governance in Africa, there were competing forces from these imperialists. Be the West, be the Soviets. The Cold War is back. The Cold War is back with a vengeance. Now you have China part of it. And you have Turkey piggybacking on it. You have India piggybacking on it. You have the Arab nations piggybacking on it. The reason in the early 90s, many governments don't have an alternative of support. They all depend on the West. What happened is, then democratization, or the process of democratization, is easily forced onto them in order to access the loans, the grants, because we have lazy leaders. They have to depend on loans and grants, IMF, World Bank, and all this, other things. Then the democratic nations, the EU and the West, had leverage. This is how the 2 terms came about. Go and look at the 2 terms. Now, Burkina Faso, and let's go on and go on. Probably countries like Ghana, but if Senegal can walk back, it's possible for Ghana to walk back. If Senegal can walk back, it's possible for Niger to walk back. Senegal, if Macky Sall wins or manage to stay, I cannot call it win. He can only rob an election to win, and it's possible. Don't rule it out. If he stays, Senegal will not even have a 2-term again. He will be bold enough to say no, and he will be supported by the French and Western allies. Go and find out recently how much interest United Kingdom is putting into Senegal, because the Senegalese are concentrated on France. No, United Kingdom, because of they are losing markets, especially they are not part of the EU anymore, they have to do their bidding separately. This is how they nurture dictatorship. This is how they fought against Patrick Lumumba. This is how they fought against many other Kwame Nkrumah and many leaders. And they empower they empower dictators. And this is coming back. This is coming back. And I can tell you, be it Russia, be it China, be it the EU, and none of those people looking after our interests. It's only us Africans that can look after our interests. I am not part of those that saying that Sonko is a saint, but we need people like Sonko to come from the grassroots and engineer change. What will happen is people like Sonko, it will be difficult for them because their power have been established from the grassroots. That's the difference. Not from a political establishment. It's from the grassroots, and I tell you that the grassroots will be very vigilant to make sure Sonko delivers. A similarity is happening in Nigeria right now with Peter Obi. Peter Obi is from an establishment, and strategically, which is important, power have to go through a transition. If power change automatically, it's very dangerous. It does not guarantee stability. It will be a revolution. It does not. Power is best to come through reforms. If Peter Obi successfully, from the establishment, manage to depose the main establishment, the two major parties, and the generation of those leaders out of these political things, there will be a revival. The generation to determine will change, because Peter Obi is using technically the same strategies to get the grassroots, but he is using influences to get the grassroots, and it's similar to what is happening in Senegal. And if he is successful, unlikely this elections, Peter Obi is not likely to win. He might win. It's not likely. He might be going into the second round. If he goes to the second round, he is very likely, highly likely to win. But the most important thing is if Peter Obi hit anything close to 20% mark, that's a win for him. Just as when Sonko had the 12% mark. For the next 5 years, Peter Obi, if he continue and not be destabilized, Peter Obi would be the president of Nigeria, and that would bring about a lot of change. Because he is talking about issues, he's talking about policy, he's talking about solution, he's making people, Nigerians, to believe in themselves and believe that its transformation can happen. Making Nigerians to see themselves that yes, there's an anti-establishment position here and platform that we can come and depose the establishment, just as Sonko is doing. It's possible. The problem we have in the Gambia is we never go through thinking of this. With so much landed people we have, so many people that can easily run to race, to point to your wrong grammar or to your spellings and so on, and call themselves intellectual. And these are most of the time people calling themselves Gambia folks, and be proud to say that they are not politically active or they're not part of politics. That's the sad thing, fact we have. That's why I said in this time I went on to say that we need a transition, because we failed the transition from colonial rule to self-governance, and we had the warning shots 1981, we did not hear it. Then we had 1994, become successful and become this disastrous as it is. Then in order to rectify that, we have to look at ourselves properly, review properly everything else, and understand the system of the dictatorship we have, and make sure we go through that to make sure we defeat that system of dictatorship and bring about a system that is vested on people's power, that people will be empowered, and the state capturers would be disarmed. This was the message there. Now it is got to a level that I said these businessmen, influential people would capture the state, and this is what is happening. That's why corruption is where it is. Be it the drug cartel, be it the economic cartel, be it everything else. Let's move on. I'll bring another portion of this recording. It's more relevant to this. Obviously, from Senegal, and again, the minute Barrow was taken to Senegal, now the realization that then ECOWAS is really committed to make sure Jammeh leaves the power. You see, this opportunist, hence Jammeh was still in town bluffing. They did not even want to show their hands until, yes, because they were listening. They know there was a time that ECOWAS was contemplating in having a share administration, a short form of okay, let's compromise, let's not bring the forces out. Okay, now because Jammeh was pushing for that, for kind of a unity government, to bring the coalition and APRC to form a government, similar to what happened in Zimbabwe. Similar to what happened in Zimbabwe. Yes, because we are lucky to have an insight into the negotiations. And the way we have insight to the negotiation, that's how these opportunists, state captors, have insight to the negotiations. Balajahumpa was sent out behind the scenes to rally support within the AU and ECOWAS mainly for this so-called settlement, let us not go to war. And this was when the details will come out better. This was when the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister, because even Nigeria were in for it, they don't want to commit. The Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister came for the consultation with Jammeh on that, and he bought it. And through a telephone conference they had, the Nigerian Foreign Affairs Minister, Jammeh, and his people, and Shalin Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This is what informed Jammeh to record Shalin Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. The Nigerian External Affairs Minister left Gambia and went to Senegal for consultation onto this plan. Okay, now what we can do is, so this thing, we can have unity government, and within 1 year we held elections. And if that had happened, then we would have outmaneuvered these people. Our intelligence got that information, and we move ahead. We move ahead on our plan that if ECOWAS was to put their hands off, we will go for Jammeh. Let's battle it out, but we are not going to settle for a unity government. This victory we are going to fight for. There's a lot that's not been said yet. There's a lot that's not been said yet. And I'll say this. It was on a Thursday night that I got up with, technically telling us to put our foot off the pedal. Jammeh will leave peacefully. It was a reassurance. The next day, on a Friday morning, from the American embassy in London here, Ibrahima Chongal was invited by a US officer who spoke to Ibrahima Chongal and asked him for us to put our foot off the pedal. Jammeh is going to leave peacefully. At that time, O.J. Jallow was visiting, during the impasse, was visiting the United Kingdom. And it was good that Ibrahima Chongal had the sense of asking permission for him to place a call to O.J. Jallow so that O.J. Jallow can speak to the officer, giving the reassurance. He did not give us the detail of why, what they know, and that happened. That officer spoke to the American officer spoke to O.J. Jallow and assured O.J. Jallow that Jammeh will live peacefully. It's not the same person who contacted me in the night. This was another person. But the person that contacted me in the night gave me some details of something else because they wanted to verify certain things. This is how I knew that the Americans were really, and the Brits were really fought and supporting Senegal to make sure if ECOWAS fail, they'll make sure they support Senegal logistically and by any means necessary to pull it off. And we have to step back. But later too, I got the details. And this was when I made a post, some people might remember, because I made a bet with someone that who knows, who was with him and said, no, whatever the case, Jammeh would fight. I said, no, you lie. We made a bet. But because I knew of all the details, that Jammeh have given the assurance that he was going to leave. And he did not tell them where he was going. Jammeh never tell anybody he was going to Equatorial Guinea. There was this pretext that he took something that the Americans assured him to Morocco. Other people believe Guinea-Conakry. And others believe in Mauritania. 3 options. And that's what, that's how operative do. You have 3 options and you play it close to your chest. One option that people didn't know of was Equatorial Guinea. Probably few people might know, but I tell you, I have not spoken to one person that knew, who was around there, to tell me no, Jammeh was going to Equatorial Guinea. Until there was a diversion. I believe it was Mauritania. Others believe for different reasons. Other people believe it was Morocco. Morocco. Others believe Guinea-Conakry, but not Equatorial Guinea. But there were many things behind the scenes for Jammeh to leave. It was only when Barrow was evacuated to Senegal, these people now started to believe, and they started to show their loyalty to Barrow, or so-called loyalty to Barrow, and they started to communicate and fly in and use their intermediaries, taking money and everything to Barrow and stroke deals with Barrow. And I say it here, and I tell you, Amadou Samba will hear what I say and my allegations against Amadou and others. That's where Amadou Samba broke this deal. That's why up to today, Barrow would not go after the wealth of Yaya Jammeh. Because if you go against the wealth of Yaya Jammeh, you are going against the wealth of Amadou Samba. What happened in America, the seizure of the property, have nothing to do with Gambia government seeking. Gambia government have not still, after 6 years. In Angola, where the former defense minister, who was selected by the former president and put as a so went against after the family for monies. In Mauritania, the same thing, where the former defense minister was handed over the leadership of the party to be president, went after the president for the state money. It's only in Gambia. Why can't Gambians ask themselves? That's where the corruption started. That's where the corruption started. Amadou Samba started to sow Barrow. But with the help of who? Alhaji Cissé. Alhaji Cissé flew in. Tangara started to so-called mobilize signatures. Go and look at the date Tangara started mobilizing signatures. You think these people will ever be loyal to anybody? No, to themselves. And the business people flew in. Different from oil exploration, for every other contract, existing contracts or contracts that fail or contract to the this thing, be it Simlex, be it everything else, they went to Dakar. 24/7. Barrow was saying people, not for anything, striking deals. Ahmad Fatih knows a lot about that. That's where we lost. And that's when I point to Gambians to that interview that Barrow was assured by this intelligence of APRC guys that don't settle for these 3 years. We will support you. Obviously, with state intelligence of Senegal and the blessing of Macky Sall, they have seen someone they can control and manipulate. They have seen someone they can manipulate. And he was assured, come may what, you can, and where, what do you call it? Barrow started to, when the guy, that journalist asked in Wolof, that do wahit, he started to say, yeah, this, I said, that's it. Again, when we raised even Mamboris and everybody else, that's where they, struck deals with Barrow. Yeah. From there, when Mamboris was to be appointed petroleum minister, go and check. When they did the cabinet, petroleum minister was not filled to the last minute before they got Fafa. It was Mambore. Then they decided to put Mambore as the MD for GNPC. At that time, the state capture started. I came out, I'll remind people. That's when I said, don't allow this against Masani Kinte and others. That's from there on, we were termed as job seekers, we are disgruntled, we are this. Some people that went to the extent of calling us tribalists. But no, we understand how the state operates. And that's why we insisted on these reforms. And another thing I pointed on is the Constitution. Do you remember that I talked about the Constitution in that recording? And I said, we will tell you how this is not about the composition of people that draft the Constitution. 1997 Constitution was drafted well. We said the problem will be how it will be implemented, the process that it goes in. The 1997 Constitution, people that drafted it even put the 2-term in there. But how did it get so people for referendum? 2 major strategies. And this is not new. Ghana did it with Rawlings. Every dictator would do it if they want to transform themselves. From the Constitution would tell you what the intentions of the junta is. How they seek, protect themselves. How they prepare themselves for future governance. Go and look at the articles, the clause. Add it. What did they do? They got a Ghanaian judge who was part of a constitutional expert, who was part of the doctoring the Ghanaian constitution, and came to the Gambia and went through the draft. Barrow did the same thing. And if Barrow was not happy with the draft. But what Yaya did was, he looked at it, he looked at the clause he wants, put the clause in there, remove what he wants, and even left certain things. He left the 50+1, left certain things that, look, I will pass. Once I pass in, I can go and amend. They were not entering clause. I can amend. I don't need a referendum to do these things. And the second bit is the condition for people, saying that if you accept this constitution, then we go to have our democratic rule. We go to elections. But if you fail to accept it, then we'll go back to the drawing board. Is that a choice? That is whatever you choose, you are going to die. How do you want to die? Later, I will be part of the process. I will determine. Same thing that while I was saying, and we talked about it after, Barrow knew that it doesn't matter who drafts this constitution, because the powers to present this thing would be within me. What did he do? that knowing that if it has to get to the people vote to have a new constitution. It will not get to the people. Put in money as much as possible to buy the parliament to stop it, because he is not happy with the new constitution. We knew from the onset that this is where we're going. We're going for a dictatorship. And we said about the 15 years. I said the 15 years then. I said that Barrow wants the 15 years then. And I tell you now, it's not about 15 years, just as gave example of Senegal. If Macky Sall passes the test, Barrow will pass the test. Until Gambians do something about it. Until Gambians do something about it. Now, let's move on. Then when they left Senegal, we said we have a new government. What happened? Again, this is when we said don't. The reason I said we said don't allow these people who were around Jammeh to be around you. But no. Alhaji Cissé was technically employed the minute he landed in Senegal, because the time he was leaving Washington, he knew he was coming to a job beside Barrow. And the first deal was done in Senegal. That's the deal they had with Amadou Samba, and the deal that Amadou Samba pointed to a bank account owned by Barrow, operated by Amadou Samba, and allowed that account to be converted to Barrow. And with the help of the Senegalese intelligence, put on national security things to easy to do the transfer, because of Barrow need the funds to ferment and operate his government in exile. That's why people said, oh, it was Macky Sall who gave Barrow how much. That was a lie. It was our money. This is the same time they went and captured him. We wanted to capture him with the 2 compounds. We said it. Barrow came in and just continued the argument. He have Alhaji Cissé to show him. And the first opportunity he has to change cabinet, when he removed the UDP, he brought in 𝒊𝒏𝒇𝒐𝒓𝒆. Whilst 𝒊𝒏𝒇𝒐𝒓𝒆 was in the process, and everybody knew, and he even went and testified and admitted doing all these wrong things. Again, the report came out. All these people around, just as the report with the TRRC, all the people that are still enabling him, he sealed off and continued to seal off. And people that he perceived that will not support him, he threw them down. That's where we are now. That Jammeh Commission, in fact, provided more facilities or opportunity for Barrow to be wealthier and people around him. The bartenders, everybody, they got wealthier. And one of the women that helped Bartenders to be wealthier is the woman 𝒉𝒆𝒏𝒕𝒐𝒓𝒆 that Bartenders just married recently. Go and find out what big company Binta was operating with Alphabet, and how they got their contracts to dispose of Jammeh's assets. That's why today the Justice Minister will tell you, no, we cannot tell you who we sold these assets from, because these assets were all done corruptly. You see where this systematic corruption continued? Even with commissions of inquiry, the outcome of commissions of inquiry is to enable Barrow and people around him to be wealthier. No, it comes the First Lady Foundation, a vehicle created again to rob the Gambians, to the extent of giving a budget for us to be robbed, creating an office for us to be robbed. You know, of the 35 million, we can go on. But again, because we talked about all this before, I'm just going to point it out to make my point. We go on to GPA, Gambia Ports Authority. Barrow brought in, when Tambedou refused or they did not want to do certain things. Then he brought someone who have done it for Jammeh, who went to the commissions and said that he done it for Jammeh. That's why these performance contracts means nothing. That's 𝒂𝒐𝒊𝒏𝒈. 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒈 went to the commissions and said, this is what I did for Jammeh. I used to take the 𝒓𝒆 to Jammeh. We all had that. And he appointed 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒈. 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒈 would be even to qualify. What qualified 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒈 than many other Gambians? No. The only quality that he have, the character of enabling, doing what he wants. What happened? Now our port is the less efficient, our port is pouring on, but Barrow is benefiting. Because Barrow have created another private port within our port that our port will have to take contract from, by enabling Hadim Gai to run a dry port from a land owned by the Gambia government. Hadim Gai borrowed a land from the Gambia government in order to use as a depot to do the bond route. During Jammeh time, the minute Barrow came, with all the deals we have, the Barrow with his in-law at the State House, Alhaji Sise and others, they created Baila Job. You see, he's retired thinking he will go quietly. And Baila Job, they agreed to give this man, take the land and even take more of that land. That land was extended to the mangroves, destroying the environment, extended to the mangrove, given to a private citizen. Now operate it as a dry port. Now the ports authority, who should have more money, more facility, more manpower, no, give it, oh, it's the private sector. It's not a private sector, it's an individual. Now you think that Barrow only likes Hadim, that's why he does. No, he's having his kickback, his shares from this operation. 𝒂𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒈 allow it, Baila Job allow it, and the finance minister allow it, and it's happening now. How many? I forgot the figure again. Almost $1 million a month coming out from there. How are we going to develop our port? And next minute he might even ask for an extension, and in next minute he will run the port to the expense of Gambia and our economy, our competitiveness, the export trade and others. We've seen that. Social Security Housing Finance Corporation. We've seen the descent. This is what happened. Wherever you have a transformer, someone to come to change things, they fought. They fought with their life. The interest groups on this thing went and fought against Mohammed Manjang to be removed. Today, that the short period Mohammed Manjang spent at Social Security recovered. Short period recovered to the extent of saving $1 billion. Their investment became sounder, they streamlined the expenditure and everything else. Only on expenditure, they used to spending over 285 million. Operational funds were drastically reduced. Operational funds. That's how they accumulated the profits from operational funds and other things. And the investment and diversify. No, today is the hands of Barrow's cousin, first cousin, Social Security. And just for last year, what I know of, almost 40 million went to TK Motors, to Tariq Musa on a deal. They've paid for that flight to New York, and all the deals are going on, and he okay it without the board approval. Because what? He's Barrow's cousin. You see the level of corruption? Because he's Barrow's cousin. We have seen that Social Security is not performing better. You will not hear any queries because of it. They all enjoying it. GRA, Yankuba Dabo. Why do you think Yankuba Dabo is the only managing director who have not been removed? Because he does to Barrow what he does for Jammeh. And you know Gambia is so, is gullible over who know their family. but their family only known of their wealth or their mystic powers to be wealthy when Yankuba became managing director. Not during Jawara, not during the beginning of Jammeh. Until Yankuba became the managing director of our revenue, our entire revenue collection. Now they say, oh, you know this brother, he have mystics, he have jinns. It's a lie. It's a lie. No jinns, no magic, no nothing. It's our resources. But he will not do a move. He's the only managing director. Yeah, that's another listen. And everything else, the failure to host the OIC, which now is extreme. I mean, they will not tell you, but I've happened to get it from Africa Intelligence that they slated for 2024, earliest 2024. But did Gambia realized how much we lost for these projects not been finished on time? And the reason behind these projects not finished in time is corruption. Corruption. The kickbacks and everything else. And not only in time, the quality would not be what it should be, what we paid for. The so-called airport project, everything else is not because of what Barrow is gaining from it. What Barrow is gaining from it. A Pickford, a company from Sierra Leone, Barrow instructed that company to get a contract. Do you know why? How many thousands of dollars? A company called 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈 that has never existed as a construction company, were put together with Pickford and have a slot given to them. 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈, the person who owns 𝒂𝒊𝒈 was a supplier. Never built a road, never maintained a road. But because of Barrow have interest in the company 𝒂𝒊𝒈, it might even be his company. He used demand as a fund. The same thing Jammeh used to do. We can go on and go on and go on. But with all the scandals that happened in the country, from the Wayne Harding guy, from the 35 million, from every scandal of petrol, gun petroleum, every scandal, none of those people, for the first case, let's go on, not one case. Just as not one case of drug trafficking, we have a big fish. Not one case has been prosecuted in 6 years. In 6 years. Do you think that's a mistake? It's systematic. Then even something you want to credit Barrow for, that his government inherited this OIC conference to this, he failed. That's any road that's going to happen now. There's a compensation issue. There's many issues with these projects. How can you give it? I mean, people say, why Subara de Felubasa didn't go credit? For what? For what? Because we don't have critical minds to see what the problem is. Now, if these roads were finished last year and the conference was hosted last year as it was slated, you know the benefit we would have by now. You know, now for 3 years probably the projects to finish and would not even be done properly. And they will likely go for extra funding. Because of some of these companies will default. Just as they default. Look at how many mini stadiums they were going to build. None of them built. They default because the wrong people have been given projects. But the most astonishing thing and the evidence is here. It's not allegations. Because we have evidence in the way they live their lives. And if I play this, you will look at it and then Barrow have transformed himself with the properties he have now. But not only him. You see, even that's why people say the corruption in Barrow is worse than Jammeh. Depends how you look at it. Barrow had his Pabuja. Barrow have his brother, the Holy Curry. Barrow has his brother. What's his brother's name? The one that passed away, he made an ambassador. He had few people. But he did not even make those people millionaires. He just gave people those access to in order to support him, to help him. The Kanilai farms, the Kanilai this. Power Bojangs become overnight famous and then giving out. Philanthropist, whatever you label it. In the case of Barrow, his entire family. He have his two nephews, Amadou Sane and what do you call it? Amadou Sane and Njaga Sane. These two people are not foolers. That's why I say this is not about tribe. These people are not. That's why I said, yes, in a sense, if you look at certain aspects, Barrow is empowering individuals who happen to be foolers. But does not mean that Barrow is empowering the foolers. No, people, individuals. Because these people are not going to benefit the foolers, they're going to benefit their families. And wreck our nation, and every other fooler will suffer for it. But let me tell you that it depends what relationship we have, Barrow. It's about nepotism. The Njaga Sane and Amadou Sane became overnight millionaires within 3 years. I'm not saying 6 years. They've been millionaires 3 years ago. You think because of what? It's because their uncle is the president. Because their uncle became the president. Not only that, now the sister Salimatu, and not only Salimatu, other people now are millionaires within 6 years. Not only Barrow is a millionaire, not only the first lady is a millionaire, and I tell you the first lady family too, they are millionaires in 6 years. Yes, many other family members of this first lady, yes, they became wealthier because of the first lady. And we'll get to that. I'll give you an example how these things happen. The president's niece, Rahid John Manjang, is appointed Minister for Environment and Climate Change. Do you know why? And do you know, before Badr Diouf, Rahid Manjang was the one Barrow wanted to appoint as vice president. That's how brazen Barrow is. He was restrained. No, Barrow. He was restrained. But that was his choice. You see, there's something about Barrow's behavior that you believe that he's mad. That's how brazen he is. He thinks he's the president, hence the constitution said he has the powers. He will do it. He just literally read the constitution, has it, yes, and he'll do it. But do you know why Rahid Manjang was given environment and climate change? He has no competency to run it. The global funding in environment now is huge. Barrow wants direct control over that. The other thing is land. All the major land that needed to be demarcated would have to do either with forest, or somewhere that you need an environmental assessment, impact assessment. And if that is to happen, the Minister of Environment will be instrumental to make sure that happens. And that's where the big deals are. The kickbacks and big deals that where they are. Barrow will benefit. You see, the systematic structured grand corruption on the side of government, I will come to others. But let's give you one example. How reckless and the destruction, the destabilization of that country. Tourism is completely dead. I have a friend the other day, and I asked Gambians to do the test. Turkey today, probably because of the earthquake, it's not even right to use Turkey as an example, but the test was this: go and find out in 1 week, all inclusive to Turkey. I'm not saying from now, but it's insensitive even, it will not be right to check it. But go to check Turkey, check Morocco, check 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈. 1 week all inclusive, and check the Gambia. When we check it, Gambia was almost £900, all inclusive. in a hotel, trip to Gambia, vacation. Turkey was under 500. Morocco was just under 600. 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈 was under 600. And do you know what? They got better facilities. Do you know what? They have more to show. Why would anyone go to the Gambia? Why would anyone go to Gambia unless you have to? You have links with Gambia. That's what is killing of our tourism. Vince now are, I don't think they fly to Gambia anyway, but they have more flights now going to 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈 than other. 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈 is going into the million tourists. And we were far ahead of 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈. Sierra Leone is going to more into tourism now. Ghana and other countries. But this government don't care. Ahmad Ba, one of their strategy was to invest in ecotourism. Election time, they went and put the foundation stone for 5 eco this thing. None of them built. Because of what? The corruption, everything taken away. Yes, most of the hotels are empty. Some hotels are even abandoned. That's how bad it is. The 6 years of this government, that's what we have. And some of the hotels, you have a little bit of life. Go and find out what sustains those hotels. If you understand what sustains some of our hotels, you understand the power, the influence of drug cartels in that country. Go and find out. But nothing comes out of it. Now, you know this airport charge. We all seen the reports. Mulligan produced the report. You know what happened? The National Audit Office come and agreed. You see, we applaud Mulligan for what they do. The National Audit Office came and just agreed with everything Mulligan told us. But I tell you one thing. It is scheduled, the OIC is scheduled now. The Gambia will not tell you. But if you go and check it with Africa Intelligence, I've posted it, it's on my timeline, Open Gambia platform timeline. The first half of 2014 for hosting. But as I said, the corruption, the hotel, the so-called OIC Radisson Hotel, nothing. And we told you, the man is a scammer. The man is a scammer, is a blessing, and because of Barrow and the First Lady, they seized a property owned by another Gambian and give it to him. I went there in last December, I went there and I took video, I have the videos, I got photographed. Nothing, absolutely, not even a brick have been built. If they're going to host it, they're going to use other hotels, but not that so-called Radisson Blue lying hotel. I know it was a lie, and we said it. And we told them that they were not going to host the OIC when they said they're going to host it this year. But let's go to the airport charges. Do you realize how this airport charges came about? And I tell you, we'll say, Jammeh, 2014, this company came to Jammeh. Even Jammeh did not allow it. Because Jammeh have learned its lesson, two. One was the charges being put at the ports. People can remember that one. That one was brought in by Jammeh's father-in-law, Mr. Suma. They started this inspection charges at the seaport. It affected us. Jammeh backtrack. Gambia in 2015, on 2014-2015, they had something called environmental charge or something like that, similar, that we pay about £20. 2015, Jammeh stopped it because it was hurting tourism. When they came with the security thing, 2014, Jammeh said no. 2016, 2017, the impasse, this company went to Senegal. They tried Adama Barrow. 2017, they followed Adama Barrow into the Gambia. They did not make it. They did not make it because of it did not sound right. They went to Sierra Leone and they were successful. The First Lady of Sierra Leone, First Lady of Sierra Leone, Mother Bio, was wife, Fatuma Bio, with other Gambians. Other Gambian for that matter, went on to lobby. They went through Fatou Ceesay. Fatou Ceesay, executive member, Barrow's so-called ambassador, allied, or whatever it is. Through Fatou Ceesay went through the first lady and his brother Ibrahima Ceesay. That's and Barrow, and they agreed. The unit within the Minister of Finance, look at the PP private partnership and so on, advised against it. The Batambedu at the time, at the Minister of Justice, cautioned the Gambia on this clause. Ahmad Ba went against it. All the tourism stakeholders, ground operators, air operators went against it. Not one stakeholder said, yeah, it's a good idea. And you know the report highlighted that? Mulligan highlighted that, National Audit Office highlighted it. The president agreed on it and pushed it onto themselves, implement it. Why do you think the president does that? Because of the kickback. Because of the kickback. Fatou Ceesay was receiving $10,000 a month. Then how much would the first lady who facilitated receives? How much the other Gambians who facilitated receive? $10,000. Knowing that this is not good for our economy, but knowing too is robbing Gambians. And the president came out to defend it, to say, oh, it's paying tax to be so that we can develop. It's a lie. The money is not going to us. It's going to them. How do I have proof of that? Remember the leaked letter from the Civil Aviation Authority that civil aviation meant to have certain percentage paid to them? What happened? We had the letter that Mambure sent them asking them to take a commercial bank loan because the money is being spent somewhere else, not specified. You see the problem. Now this is how they shared it. The contract was exclusive, written by the company and signed by them. Then we agree on what the terms and conditions the company asked for. Everything on the on this extended. No, it's just silly. You think Barrow did it because he doesn't know? He doesn't care. What he cares about, this thing is giving the money. This is how they become rich. Just as when the first lady got his 35 million, they went and bought a property in Fajara. The property that Omar C, former External Affairs, owned, they said $12 million. They bought a property in Seattle. I'm not saying with the same proceeds, but probably other kickbacks. Other kickbacks. They're running this country as their own property, and nothing comes out of it. Because Gambians, we will be divided to fight corruption. Not only that, now, interest, the Sierra, because, you know, they came from, went to Sierra Leone, they were successful, they brought in a Sierra Leone to head the Gambian security report operations, CEO. Now he is a friend, he's in a very close relationship with Fatim Baji. Yes, former APRC minister. Don't be surprised. Now Fatim Baji is back. Fatim Baji, who resigned from the First Lady Foundation. Now because of Fatim Baji's relationship with this Sierra Leonean CEO, now have reconciled with Fatim Baji. Now, Fatim Baji have reconciled with the First Lady. Now he's back to the First Lady Foundation, but Fatim Baji now is working for Security Report and allegedly reported that not $10,000, that was $10,000 that was going to Fatou Ceesay, is $20,000 now she's earning going to her. And what did Barrow do? Now Fatou Ceesay lost that income coming there. Not only that, now Fatou Ceesay's brother Ibrahima Ceesay, who was facilitating this, removed and sent to be cool in Russia, and Nyangado replaced him. Now he is saying or all he did for Barrow. The amount, yes, he did a lot for Barrow. He did a lot for Barrow, but not Gambia. This is what we had. And then we have, what do we have? Impunity. Everything is institutionalized. There's no accountability. How can we have accountability? Accountability cannot if there's no political will. There's no political will on the side of government, there's no political will on the side of opposition parties. And again, saying there's no political will against opposition parties, the will have to be shown in your where you are now. Look at the selective way, if any, they go after something. Look at it. But let's explain this. Let's look at this, sample it to the local government. But what I said is, and when I play this thing in my recording of 2018, UDP were still in government. UDP agreed for Alhaji Ceesay to stay in government. UDP agreed for Mambure to come and sit with them in cabinet. UDP agreed for External Affairs Minister Tangara to come and sit with them in cabinet and others. Why did you agree on that? No, they'll tell you, oh, the president has the powers to appoint. But if you have the principles and the audition to fight corruption, you said no. We cannot be in a government. You see, that's what I said is different from what happened in the West here. The Conservatives will be forced to fight. Within the Conservative Party, they will force. Yes, they will in elements, but the party will know that if we do not force, if we don't fire this person, what will happen is the public will come after us. We lose our elections. That's why they're losing. They're losing support. The public opinion. I have to sit with these people. They are like, all these things happen. When the Jali Commission started to go wrong, they were in government. And I don't like this thing, no, you are in government, you can do nothing. Then you will not do anything when you are out of government. You have power. You are afraid to lose the power and lose your position. No, you lose your position, but you maintain the power in opposition. You maintain the power in opposition. What will be a hope that if you are in government and seeing these wrongs and you are not going after those wrongs, what encourages us that you will not commit those wrongs, or you are not committing those wrongs, or if you have overall control? What assures that? No, you were part of the continuity. And this is what I said 2018. It will get us here. But again, let's look at this. And I emphasize, I'm not saying that there will not be corruption, but the effort to fight corruption. We have opportunity. If they wanted laws, I understand. Look, there's nothing point having laws when you don't use them. We already have laws to use. We are not using those laws. Then if you say, okay, let Barrow. Then if you say, yes, let Barrow constitute anti-corruption agency or whatever. What's the point of that? When the powers under this constitution will allow him to appoint and have powers to fight, and the political will be on him. Instead, they will use the agency to go after people against the government, rather than going for the people within who supports Barrow. Just as now, support Barrow, a drug cartel or whatever you are, support Barrow, show your support to Barrow. You will not be prosecuted for anything. Commit any crime, just support Barrow. You will not be prosecuted. What's the point of the agency? Remember in 2017 when the government came in, or we do our declaration of assets. Did it happen? No. Now, saying that we don't have. No, we have it. Is that we have the political will to do that. The importance of the political internal democracy within political parties will be seen here. Now, let's look at them. I've not seen the audit reports for KMC yet, but we had allegations on KMC well before. Yes, we treat them as allegations. Even the audit reports should be viewed as allegations, should be viewed about highlighting issues and so on. Some of these issues are point of incompetence, some of them might be mistakes or whatever it is, but it needed to be reviewed. And to make sure that any act of corruption highlighted, we need to get those people held accountable and to make sure we put in mechanisms or remedies to avoid them happening. That's how we fight corruption. If it's incompetency, it needed to be highlighted as incompetency to help the electorate to elect better leaders and inform the party that sent the person to office that your candidate has been found out. Now, if you are true to the principles that you advocating to fight corruption, then your candidate should not be. And if the candidate is, then the public, the voters are well informed to know that then you are not ready to. Not only for that candidate, but for your party, then it's not serious to fight corruption. Until we have this understanding, our mindset will not change from fighting corruption. It's about my thief is okay and your thief is a problem. And we'll come to that. Highlighting someone else's corruption, asking for accountability and so on should not stop you from highlighting yours and asking for accountability. But what brings out that is when you have internal democracy. Not when power is crude for certain people to be within the executive, so that you can determine a specific leader and that leader will be a demigod or someone protected. What happened is, everything is just like what happens to the government. What happens is all you have to do is to understand the power dynamics, and once you understand the power dynamics, it's matter of you magnetize yourself to the power dynamics and be part of the power structure. See it as a loyalist leader, my dear leader, and part of that structure you will not be touched. Your candidature will be assured and other things will be assured. Then that proves that your party is not ready for governance. But we'll talk about an alternative. Do we have an alternative? Why don't we have an alternative? Why do we criticize? Do we criticize just for criticism's sake? No. Do we criticize because we have a problem with that group, that party? We don't criticize this because, no, if we criticize this, then we are empowering that party. We see that. People say, oh, don't criticize, or they fail to criticize or qualify that. Oh, no, politicians say banally. That's what they do. No. Why can't we say that's an alternative? Or if you raise something about the government, they say, oh, what about UDP? Yes, if UDP are in power or they have responsibility and we go for that. Doesn't mean that we criticize the government, we will not criticize UDP. But we should not also say that we don't criticize the government, because when we do that, then we are empowering the UDP. But why didn't we have this mindset that we can create an alternative, that if it's not the government, if it's not UDP, it's another party? You see, that's where I give the examples of the likes of Sonko, Pastef, like of Peter Obi, and such. In the United Kingdom, I give an example. It's kind of a two-party state. But what happens is, the institutions we have, the press will go after. The institutions we have, civil society organizations, and other would go after. If the two-party default, there is something to retry. But still, they are fighting to have a system, voting system, that will assure that there is an opportunity for a third party or third wave. But the way it's structured right now, the demography, what you call them, constituencies, is kind of a loyal constituencies, and to Labour, Conservative, minor to Liberal. But if it is, and it's first past the post for members of parliament, then the number of members of parliament you win takes you to government. Now, all what the parties do is have policies, have campaign strategies in order to win the margin, what we call the marginal constituencies that are likely. Now, you look at this, you look at the field. Oh, this is a 9% different. This is a 5% different. Now, if it is a 20% different, 40% different, no, I'm not going to invest my campaign here. I'm going to invest it here to capture. Now, all I need to do strategy is to capture 5, 10 this thing, and I invest in there. Or all I need to do, I invest this in, I leave even this one, tactically leave this one with the concern, let me not battle here, or so that my votes would go to the Liberals, or my votes, will go in a way so that these people will lose. They are, this, and the mindset of, this thing is, you either have a conservative government or a Labour government. But as I said, the democracy, that's what defaults are. But the institutions help to fight. And then people too are informed. And once they're informed, that's what brings a difference again. And whenever a government has too much scandal, they lose elections. Because the information that people received, the job the press does, to inform the people. But these parties to fight to make sure they have their internal democracy to work. They fire ministers. They refer ministers for investigations when allegations rise up. But not in the Gambia. Let's look at the KMC. And there's something about effective governance. One thing you give to Talib and KMC is the young chap is very effective. One, that's one difference. He's very effective. Two, he's the most effective political leader that's occupying office right now. Without saying, the most effective political leader that's occupied office right now. And there's something else going for him. He's young. I am not saying he will not be corrupt, but he would be very careful, because he is aspiring for higher office. And he knows that in order to secure that higher office, he has to be very careful. He makes sure he's effective because he has a team. Talib does not rely on the UDP. Yes, I'm not saying that he doesn't rely on the UDP for votes. But for managerial and leadership, Talib have a core team behind him to support him. Yes, he has the UDP to support. But he have a core team outside the UDP that supports him. That's make him very effective, and he's smart, and he knows how to get things done. But the aspect of corruption that will likely come out from him is when he deals with party patronage, when he need to patronize people based on party line in order to have loyalists within the party and to have a loyalist within an election, mercenary, an election mercenary to support him. If any corruption is likely will be there, there's another form of corruption that Talib would be liable, would be conflict of interest. And I will want to explain this. With Talib, conflict of interest. Many accusation that comes out is that these projects that he have, they are given to people who have relationships, business relationship with his mother, or a mother with companies that is run by his mother, or the mother have shares in those companies. That is conflict of interest. But conflict of interest can be alleged. Let me put it right again. The conflict of interest can be alleged, but does not really mean that it has mounted to corruption. Conflict of interest is part of corruption, if proven. Why is it difficult here? I'm not saying that Talib, the conflict of interest alleged to Talib is not corruption, or he has not committed corruption. That can be determined by the investigations in this. And I'm saying here, as I said, I did not have the details of national audit reports on Talib yet. I'll come to the rest. Now, what's this conflict of interest? If it happens, you know, Gambia is easy to fall onto this conflict of interest. I mean, you look at a relationship. Right now, I'm thinking about Talib. Talib is like a nephew to me. Now, if anyone hear this might say, oh, or find out later that, oh, Ben have a good relationship with Talib and the family might have a kind of a neighborhood relationship that have developed years. Ben is saying this because of that. I did my disclaimer, but try and look into details whether what I am saying is wrong or where the context of what I'm saying, trying to see it there. That's why this is what conflict of interest. Talib Mom have been an investor in many companies well before Talib became a political figure. Now, the other thing is, did Talib excuse himself during the negotiations? You might excuse yourself, and still there might be ways that you influence the negotiations that investigation should prove. Talib might, one way to deal with conflict of interest is to excuse yourself. Oh, sorry, I could not sit on this negotiation due to the government avoiding to cause a conflict of interest. The contract agreed was it done for the best interest of the KMC, the organization? You see, again, Gambia is a small market. Gambia is a small environment. It's easy to relate to people. You have relationship. But again, businesses are not many. You might have 5 banks or 5 companies doing the same business, or even 10. But probably only two have competency. But if it comes to that, it happens that because of the mother have spent her investments, I don't even know what percentage she have in some of these investment, whatever, and it happens. But did it happen that the due diligence was done, and it happens that one of the companies became the companies that is more competent in to be awarded this contract, and they did everything right, and they won the contract squarely? Now, that can only be determined if an investigation is launched. But what's important here is, again, as I said, the importance of independent institutions. Just as I say, in United Kingdom, the difference is here. When our former Chancellor, who became the chairman of the Conservative, was found to be penalized by the tax agency, HMRC, the revenue listing, and penalized for him to pay penalties, pay his tax and penalties. It was only happening because of the tax revenue were independent. And when he came out trying to distort the facts, the agency came and made it clear, yes, he did something wrong. We don't go out to find people unless they done something wrong. They went to an extent. It's important that we have those independent institutions. It's important that we have the press that will come and to report, investigate and report, just as what Maligan does, to inform the people, to hold accountable. But the National Audit Office so far, and remember these audits we are reading were under another leadership. Now they have a new leadership. Whether going forward this leadership will do the same thing is something that we need to be focused on to make sure it happens. But the leadership they had that brought out these reports have shown their competence and have shown they have done their job in fighting corruption and delivering what they're supposed to deliver. Now, it is for us Gambians to make sure that KMC, all the allegations against Talib and KMC are investigated and brought to books. Where it is corruption, we pursue it to make sure people responsible are punished and anything lost to the corporation will be recovered. Where it is incompetence, it is highlighted and make sure it's remedied. That's how we progress. It's not whether it's a party, it belongs to that party or not. It's because of they occupy that office and they have a mandate, and it is up for them to deliver, and it is for us to be vigilant and hold them accountable. That's what it should be. It's not because of what relationship we have, whether it's from our party or whose party it is from, whether it's government or not. But it's interesting. The government is never interested in fighting corruption. And I'll cite the case of Talib again. When something happened on the Talib's watch, and it was not highlighted by government, but it was some kind of internal queries or whatever it is, the CEO of KMC, 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈, was alleged to have abused her position and using the corporate finances or using it where to access loans from private banks or whatever it is. It opened a can of worms, counter allegations. Then Talib and the KMC leadership, not even Talib, KMC, because there are other councillors part of the thing who are different parties, they agreed and took an action on 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈. But because of the open of can of worms, the deputy mayor, who was a councillor for something back, UDP in Serekunda, was alleged to have done something wrong. Not specifically remember, it's in bribery or soliciting bribe or something like that. He resigned using private issue to this. Yes. Once you resign from the organization cannot pursue you unless they have loss of earning. They can go and pursue you for loss of earning. But if it's misconduct, because the worst they can do is to fire you, then the KMC might not have, strategically the man have got away from there. But if it is a corruption, the state can always go for that person. He might resign from the job, but the state prosecutors could have gone for him. Yeah. But interesting enough, a counter allegations came, and most of the counter allegations we had before. Government had never had interest. They always use the counter allegation for political reasons. Now, because of now they've seen an opportunist moment, they want to intervene in the wrong way. They went after Talib by going through the Dramé, the then minister, using the same laws that Yahya Jammeh amended from the constitution and give powers to the minister. Because of Yahya Jammeh lost a case against an independent mayor, 𝒂𝒊𝒗𝒊𝒏𝒈. He wanted to use the same law. But mysteriously, when Talib visited the president, we don't hear the government pursue the case anymore. Why? You see the problem of fighting corruption? If Talib was corrupt, why the government did not go for him? Did the government step back because of the appeal to look, you should not abuse the power to go after my son? Is it that? We don't know. But we all have evidence that the visit had happened, and after the visit the government put off their foot. Yes, the law that the government want to rely on is a bad law. But after that, Talib went against that bad law and you know they said Talib and mayors, but I tell you, Talib took leadership. He knew the law was bad. He never went for the law, but when the law affected him, he went for the law. And it's this law that the Supreme Court ruled that is undemocratic. That's a reason we give autonomy, and we did not even give enough autonomy to councils. local government need more autonomy to find resources and other things to take decisions, to reduce the power from central government, to transfer the power to the people. People electing their leaders who are closer so that they can hold them accountable, so that their resources can be used diligently onto areas they needed to be spent. That went on. You see the abuse of power. Then you have laws. They want to use those laws to abuse, but they don't want to use the laws to do the right thing. They will give an excuse, oh, we don't have existing laws to do. That's a lie. There are enough laws to fight corruption. Let's look at the case in BCC. Again, Mayor Rohilo, UDP. Again, you see the interest I said about the importance of internal democracy. I'll come to this. I said, and I believed, that Rohilo was not a good candidate. He doesn't have the competency to run Banjul. That was my position, and that's my position now. And when I had Rohilo answer the Select Committee, technically she agreed on her incompetency. Whether she's willingly agree or not, but what he said is actually saying, I'm incompetent. I'm incompetent. Because what I didn't have all the details, but enough details from, because I listened to what have transpired. I cannot go to specifics, but I can get you things I've registered. There's many things in the audit report. And one of those is alleged grant corruption, which is directly under the preview of the CEO, not the mayor. But the mayor has a responsibility to oversee the CEO. That's where the competency question will come in. There's an issue about competency in that report. Is the mayor competent enough to work with the CEO to make sure, have a oversee, to make sure the CEO does the right thing? But the allegations of grant corruption is a big indictment on the CEO. It should be pursued, and where it's pursued to see if the mayor has any role or collision to play and benefited from that corruption, the mayor should be held accountable. As I said before, we don't say, oh, because of the government officers are not held accountable, the mayor should not be held accountable. No. We should advocate that all of them should be held accountable. And make sure all of them hold accountable. Whether it will happen or not, that's what we should advocate for. But the indictment of corruption is huge here. Is it systematic? Is it deliberate? Is it incompetent in certain aspects, that certain things which are basic in accounting? Us non-accountants that have small businesses knew that these things have to be in place in order to have control, to have accountability. But in this case, it's absent. Was it deliberate? This is what the investigation should look at. Where they find that it's deliberate, then it's structured corruption. You use a loophole, leave a loophole to use. Where it's not deliberate, it's a question of competency. And as I said, again, competency depends. Then they review it to see what mechanisms are absent, and or what mechanisms need to be introduced. Is it the qualifications of the people tasked to do this? So do we review the profile or the qualifications to make sure they have what it takes? This is why we audit. We just go to indict people. It's to review, to make sure things work. Productivity or money. In the case of certain benefits that they say, and I'll come to that. I have this political campaign, or the mayor have spent this much on perfume. It might be unethical, might be insensitive, but it might not be corruption. If if there is a policy or a framework or an agreement that 100,000 can be spent on personal this thing of the mayor, it becomes law. Now, if the mayor access that 100,000, that's not corruption. But again, the judgment of the mayor can be questioned, just as we have our MPs taking clothing allowance and other allowances. Once it's passed as law, it's not corruption, but we question out their judgment. The mindset they have, what do they think? Why do they ask for these things? That's what it is. But as I said, the other things like computers, if you've not been managed well, is it incompetency or deliberate in order not to have accountability? In the case of that, we still have to rely on receipt books, going to printing service, taking receipt books from printing in order to do our invoices. We know how much that opens to corruption. How comes we don't digitalize our corporate tax collections in many ways to reduce the risk of corruption, theft? And if a council stayed for 6 years and 4 years, for 4 years a council cannot revolutionize and change. This is where revolution is called for, and change the method of things being done, then it's incompetence. Yes, we need to know this information in order to choose our next mayor. We can go on and go on. The oversight, but the oversight too, not only on the mayor. What about those councillors? How comes we have to wait for audit report of 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021? I'm not sure even there's 2021. Then the mechanism of oversight on this, why did it have to come this late? We are talking about oversight of the mayor, but what about the oversight of the councillors? What about the oversight of the press? What about the oversight of political parties? These are all oversight stakeholders. The issue about projects, that a project of the abattoir was cost of this, but it does not look this. We don't even know what does it look like. What does it look like? 100,000 project that they costed 4 million. These are the things we want to know. That's why they need an investigation to go there. The audit officers have done their job to go there and investigate. Where did it go wrong? Why is it fault of the contractor? Go after the contractor. Fault of the contractor, come and point fingers. Go for people that point the finger and investigate and get to the facts. That's how we fight corruption. And again, as I said, this is the point thing about politicians as well. Now, the council will tell you there are some certain things they talk about, or the mayor paying for scholarship, mayor paying for hardship, or donating, whatever it is. Is it allowed in the law? Is it allowed with the council, whatever they call them, bylaws or whatever it is? If it's allowed, what do we expect the councils to intervene? But I tell you, it happens here. But do you make sure that these payments are not done for political expediency? Are they done? Is it done to pick selected people, or there's a mechanism in place to help Banjulians that need access to support for certain things? Is it sustainable? Is it? How is this scholarship awarded? How is this awarded? How is this awarded? This is the people's money. If the council can determine and spend it right to help Gambians, that's what we ask for. But not selective for people political purposes. For politics, it do happen here. But there are mechanisms. I'll give you an example. If you go to say that you want support from your council in the United Kingdom, as I remember, I've not dealt with this for a while, to build a mosque, they will say no. No. They won't give you money, because that mosque is only for Muslims. But if you go and say that, or within your mosque you are going to build a community center, but you put it as is open to anybody. You're going to run, in your mosque, part of your mosque there, you're going to run a hot chicken. And you're going to be cooking and giving to people. Because when you go, and you don't go Muslims only. No, when you do that, anybody can walk in. This is how you justify, asking for grants from councils or from the government. You have to make sure, listen, they do make sure they specify these things to improve. But again, it shows that every aspect, institutions, anywhere else is corruption. And there's impunity. Nobody gets this thing. And this goes for Brikama. Brikama is well known for, Brikama Area Council goes for, another council was called upon, I think it must say, different councils. But, give you these examples. And as we know, Brikama is a opposition now, elected to UDP, but it's opposition now, and others. What this tells us, we have to be very careful. The lack of internal democracy is very important. Now, what is the alternative? What do we have here? Ask yourself, what do we have here? Now, if we say that the Rovilo law, the allegations of corruption are damning, the allegations, I don't call them allegations for myself, the proof of incompetency is damning. Who are we going to elect? And remember this fact that it's already in the government mindset, if it's not UDP, it's NPP. This is where I said again, the failure of internal democracy is affecting PDOIS. The last elections, local government elections, I think it's only Sarakuda that PDOIS have a candidate for chairman. And it wasn't good. And he was a good candidate. For myself, he's the most qualified, most competent. But I'm not even sure whether he stood as a PDOIS candidate. That bit was bit silence. This part. It's bit silence. If you know whether he did stand as a PDOIS candidate or not. I know he's a PDOIS member. But again, we are approaching the local government elections. We don't see any evidence that PDOIS would have candidates in these places. Why PDOIS? As I said, apart from UDP, PDOIS is the only other structured political party I know of. Because CA, and I want to emphasize this on CA, I know very good people, part of the CA executive or movement or party. But as for now, being associated with Dr. Ismaila Ceesay, I cannot see them as a party as nothing apart from the character of Ismaila Ceesay, as a sellout. But I am not accusing the individuals I know. And that's why when I talk to them, I do say, if you guys don't distance yourself with Ismaila and you want to continue, no, I don't think any conscious government will give you that respect as a party. And I give you as an individual, and as time goes on, if you continue this, even your judgment will be questioned. But I don't question many people I know, their integrity. When you belong to association, at times it's very difficult to disassociate. I think that's holding some of them. Or some of them still believe in that CA can be the transforming party that they want it to be. What constraints do they have? Again, is when you are building a party, don't allow the party to be built around one person, a demigod. And CA will tell you, oh, we have this internal democracy, we have this, but they find out that things have been manipulated. That's where why Ismaila is where he is still. That's why I'm going straight for PDOIS, as I said. In Banjul today, UDP have made their choice, as Rahi Maliglo. But I'll tell you, internally today, very conscious, genuine UDP supporters. And I'll tell you why I'm using these words. Just ask PWS. I talk to them, every party for that matter, and see it. Some of the things they will not come and admit in the open, and we sad. But behind the scenes they'll tell you, oh, this is a mistake we done, or this is this, or this is this, this is this, or that. They will agree, but they will not come and they will be seen as supporting their candidate, they will be seen as supporting their party. But honestly, they will tell you, this is a concern. Now, for the interest of the parliament, this is what partisan says. Interest of the nation, you are risking it. Or the loyalty of the candidate to the party or party leader is stopping you from asking for the resignation of that party member. As I said again, this is the difference we have in our institutions here. That's where they call you to resign or sacked or suspended. Because if they don't do it, party don't do it, they'll suffer. But again, the loyalty to party in our in our countries is completely different. But any party should think about it. You rely on other opinions, but again, this is how they win elections. Now, if you don't have Rohilo, I have seen people who are coming out on the side of NPP. You think those people are better than Rohilo? They'll be worse than Rohilo. We have seen Faye. What's Faye's name again? Ibu Faye. Over 6 years, as I know, over 6 years he had been the manager of the friendship hostel. Not the friendship, of the stadium. Look at the state of the stadium. It's completely failed. You think he's going to do better? And this same person stood as independent against the government. When much was not known about this government. Now much is known about this government and its corruption and incompetence and everything. Why does he want to associate with the government and to be their candidate? For corruption. For corruption. He wants the job. He wants to pump these things. And all the people around him. Any Gambian that goes out there to support NPP is not naive. It's either naive or he's corrupt and he's in for himself, but not for Gambia. Any Gambian, if you are conscious enough, you cannot be seen supporting NPP, especially standing for their being a candidate. He was a candidate opposed. He did not see it fit for any party. He said he was independent. He was anti-establishment. Now, what is sweet about NPP? What is right about NPP? It's worse now. It's not even a party. We all know what they are. They are ripping each other. They use the worst form of politics, fear. Worst form of politics, tribalism. Now they're tearing themselves between tribes and corruption. What I see in NPP is because of incumbency, a government, I stand as a candidate, I have the money as much as possible to campaign. That's all. He doesn't believe in anything. And he has failed. He's not competent. Oswadas. Why do they want to stand for NPP? Corruption. And others rallying. I am disappointed to see 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈 rallying again, who was independent again, now rallying for NPP. I am disappointed. I am disappointed. But I tell you this. These people, why do I have proof that it's because of corruption? These people did not go against Hadim Gaye. The amount of money to say that Hadim have done, the amount of money Hadim took from the government, everything around the contract was wrong. Not one day I see any of these went against Hadim Gaye. What he did to Banjo. No, not one day. And this now, they're going for Rohilo. Yes, they will go for Rohilo because they want Rohilo president. But they do not want, they're not fighting Rohilo because they're coming to change. It's continuity. And that's what we should fight against, continuity. And do you know that the campaign the NPP is running in Banjul is financed by Hadim Gai? The Hadim Gai that took our port, part of our port, the Hadim Gai that the Banjul contract projects and all the things. There, the over 500 million contract, on part of it he have for the state house, rehabilitation of state house. Do you know how many millions? The kickbacks and everything else. Yeah, the Alhaji Cicero and others are the ones behind. That's not what we are fighting for. That's why I ask Gambians, wherever you are, we have to fight corruption, because it's the mother of all evils, destabilizing our country. Now, what is the alternative? This is where we are. We should avoid this. Is 𝒑𝒐𝒊𝒏𝒈 going to have a candidate? It would be a shame if 𝒑𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒈 don't have a candidate for Banjul. It would be a shame if 𝒑𝒑𝒊𝒏𝒈 did not think, and they should look at themselves again then. Anti-establishment, a political party that cannot resonate. Don't blame the people. Blame your politics. Banjul as a constituency is the constituency that's very open to win. Rahil will win by a minority vote. And the Labour former mayor could have won. 𝒑𝒑𝒐𝒓𝒆, the last time he could have won. Lindsay could have won. All four, look at the amount of votes difference. And they all did very well. Lindsay Johnson did very well to be in the position she was. Because there are going to be many candidates, the votes are going to split. Then if you have a good candidate and would run a good campaign in Banjul, it's a possibility to win. But what are we going to have? We are talking about the progress to fight corruption. We cannot rely on and the campaign, and they are only campaigning on corruption because they want to win elections for the mayor, and after the elections they are not going to fight corruption. That's not what they want. They will not fight any. They are not campaigning against. They have never campaigned against any other corruption. 𝒒𝒐𝒑𝒆 have never mentioned corruption. Not only it's the stadium. 𝒒𝒐𝒑𝒆 is it not vice president of the GFA? Behind 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈, second vice president. Look at the corruption in the GFA. The FIFA projects and everything. These are the people. These are the people. Then we have a trouble. We have a problem. As I said, if you look at the issue of KMC, which is kind of a little bit different from BCC, but if you look at BCC, until from BCC to Basha and every other things, what do we have? And this is what is in all our institutions. But again, we have to be very careful. It's taking long. Let me just play this last part of this record, and I'll analyze it, and we stop at 109. Yeah, I'll share the SoundCloud for the people that want to hear the entire the whole recording. Just a minute, let me. Okay, for people that just joined the program, what I'm playing is a SoundCloud recording. I did the SoundCloud recording was a program I did the 7th of June 2018. I'll share it. And why am I doing this? As I said, it's very relevant to what we discuss in here, corruption. But irrelevant in the form is about leadership. Relevant in the form is about the political leadership, the political will. You see, the problem with corruption here is the lack of political will to fight corruption, lack of political will for good governance, and hence we don't have this political will for good governance and fight corruption. We are going to continue to experience what we're experiencing and destabilize our country. It's already destabilized. It's a matter of time and everything would just be in flames. We have taken time bombs in everything about the issue about tribalism here is because of corruption. I'll tell you that. It's not because of Gambian tribes hate each other. No, we are all integrated. The issue about German crime, the level of crime in the country is because of corruption. The issue about deaths in our hospitals suffering is about corruption. The issue about everything that's wrong in the country is because of corruption. And that corruption is because of the failed leadership. That leadership is because our politics is not right. Be it the opposition or the government. The internal democracy is not there. We need to reform. And that tells us one thing is our mindset, the attitude to governance. To make sure we constitute ourselves right. To use the internal democracy principles to elect leaders, elect members to do things right. Let me play the bit here from this one is one. The first one was about 11 minutes of the recording. First 11 minutes. This one is 1 hour 8 minutes. Okay, as I said, people would how do you know this? To relevant to this. I did not go searching for this. I cannot remember everything, but people go to watch or listen to old recordings and they come across something, they will give you feedback, and that's he said, oh, it's very relevant what's happening in the country now, due to the issue about corruption, due to about Barrow entrenching himself, due to APRC and 𝒉𝒐𝒊𝒏𝒈. I said okay, and I listened to it and I agree it's relevant and I'm playing it, and you want to listen this carefully.
Evidence of lan la President Barrow tikki boppam pour wane ne amoon na amutoon alal nekku ni dee ko bëgg ko buñ ko mënee def na ko buñ ko mënee léegi gis nañ ko amutoon as a businessman noonu, but because of to survive in a dictatorship 22 years ñoom ñëpp léegi bu nekkoon political party sax moo tax mu si toog pour boppam above the parapet. President Barrow is connected to all of APRC. APRC makes system be yep. President Barrow was part and parcel of that system. President Barrow was compromised within the APRC. We never thought about these things. More easy for President Barrow ñaka gis ñak yek lo xamne Gambien ci tay mom lañu metti motax pour momu faté mu yomb suñ toogee tey am ñuy am soog si ne président Barrow dafa mit ak ñoom Sidi Ndiaye, dafa mit ak ñoom Aimé Ba, dafa mit ak ñoom diw ñeneen ñi guddi yàlla dëkk bi yàlla ak taxaw bu mënti nekk waaye def na ko si secret. am na wax yu génn ñoom seen APRC si bopp ñuy wax ñoo nekk di wax ne ñu ngi négocier ak président Barrow ni président Barrow luñ bëgg a négocier te moom mooy lan nee na UDP pour moom ak Ousseynou Daal pour bett na leen bett waxuma ne exactly lu ñu APRC wax dëgg la but towards that dëgg la pour bett na leen bett yéen ñun buñ toogee di ko si wax aussi responsible te ñu nekk UDP xam ñun.
Let me just analyze that before I forget my thoughts. I questioned President Barrow's wealth. I said if he was wealthy, he would have done. And remember, this is the 7th of June in 2018, about 1 year after him being in office, over 1 year. He would have done it. This time I was pointing onto the properties he was acquired, but against the pilgrimage to the Umrah to Mecca and all those kind of things. I said it's not our priorities. And I said about President Barrow surviving the dictatorship. President Barrow was part of the system. Okay, let me explain this, and that's why President Barrow does not understand our empathy. Does not have the empathy. He doesn't understand why people are in outrage at the way he associates with the dictatorship. Why do I say this? If people that know President Barrow, even when he was UDP or part of UDP structures. He was very close to APRC members. He was friends to all of these people within APRC because he was a struggling petty trader. He was hustling, and in order to do that, you have to tone down your party activities. Really, he will go to certain things and do certain things, but he's not known to address meetings. He's not known to advocate for other things. He survived. He had to survive for his business and orders. And he was close to many people. Auntie was the vice president and other people. Not only that, when that time, remember 2018, when President Barrow, this thing come out from, what happened actually was, when it was before, I think it was before President Barrow went to, when President Barrow went to Basse, and he was seen with Tombo, and they embraced with the APRC, this thing, and that angered a lot of UDP guys. But later, I'll explain. Later, that same time, UDP were campaigning around that area, and that was received at Makamakunda, where President Barrow said he was having a holiday, and Barrow was received, and kind of a situation bit calm. I'll get to that. But what this was about, that the rumor about APRC, Emeba, Sidinyai, and others are discussing with Barrow. And what happened is, some quarters of UDP believed it. The other quarters of UDP that know it's a fact, not only they have to believe, they know it's a fact, came out because they were part of the conspiracy to attack us, people like me, to attack. I remember all the people who were attacking me, who were in the UDP today, are MPP. And those are the people that attack us to say that, no, we are doing that because of, we want to divide the UDP, because we are doing that because of we are job seekers, we are doing that because we are PDOIS, we are still angry about the MOU. This is what their excuses were. I said to them, you want to see it yet? And I said, you guys are even surprised about this? We said it a year ago. I said it before, that be careful, we know what is coming. And I said, what APRC is discussing with Barrow. At that time, Barrow was making belief, the first approach was making belief, support me, I don't have problem with Jammeh. If I consolidate and stay in for second time, I will pardon Jammeh. Everything that is happening now is because of the influence of UDP, and I cannot do anything because they are my political backers now. But if I have you people behind me, I will fight back. I'll make sure this thing happens. I'm not in support. That's why I said they are negotiating. What APR is saying, I'm not saying that everything APRC claiming on the side of the negotiation is true, because that was not true. Barrow was playing a game with them, but these people too were playing, and they wanted prominence. Emeba, that's why they ousted Emeba. Remember, Emeba was nominated, and I tell you what, Fatim Baji, the same Fatim Baji today by the president, was the first person President Barrow Jammeh approach to be the interim leader of the APRC, and she agreed. But I don't want to name, but some people said no, don't do that. Yes, just when Jammeh left, Fatim Baji was the first person. Then Jammeh had to drop back to Emeba. That's why Emeba was selected. But then Emeba was seen through DG Sow, and others, and some of his group, they were having meetings with Sow and Barrow. Fabakary and his group were having meetings with Barrow and Sidinyai. And when I said this was 2018. 2021, Barrow came and agreed with me to say that he started negotiations with Fabakary in 2017. And here in my recording, I said that I knew it a year ago, not in 2018. Then President Barrow came and agreed that what I said that we knew, they were working. That's why I was warning the UDP, be careful. Be careful. Let's go back to this MOU. Let's pull it back. It's never too late. If not, President Barrow is going for 15 years. That was then. I'll tell you now, if we allow President Barrow, he'll be wanting to be there forever. Just as if Macky Sall is allowed in Senegal, that would be the indicator. And people that say, oh, why is Senegalese politics important about us? Then you don't understand politics. Let me continue.
New movement bi param President Barrow taxaw na pare na te lu mu bëgg 15 years of governance te ñu ko jàpp si loolu ñëpp xam nañ ñan la the same APRC te su ma nee the same APRC waxuma ñoom aimé ba ñoom pour parti but already ñoo xam ne ñu ngi si bor ñoom Alaaji Cissé keneen ak bokk si di opportunité nekk UDP ak di opportunité nekk UDP moo tax soo leen bàyyee xel ñu bari fu mu ne nii commencé delluwaat nañ di toogaat fenn dafa ne nga foog ne bu ñu gisee président Barrow neen Ousseynou Dabo in kër ñoom kër ñoom Barrow ñu foog ne dellu neen déedéet dese nañoo xam ne ruthlessness of Barrow dese nañoo gis ne ruthlessness of Barrow te waxoon nañ leen ne after record after elections yi lañ la waxoon the ruthlessness of Barrow dese nañ koo gis waaye evidence mu ngi génn bis mu ne but Barrow su ko neexee am ambition sam UDP ni ñoo deal with seen governance seen problème but for Gambia c'est le colon.
And okay, this is it here again. I said this and expressed that I am not talking about those UDP that will just jump in everything, because I talk to, as I said, I talk to people within CA, I talk to people within UDP, I talk to people within POS, and in most cases they will agree behind the scenes, but they cannot be seen. For them, they cannot be seen coming out to agree, but they respect the opinions and whatever it is. But the others that just jump around because they don't get it, they just, if you say anything against their party or anything, they will jump. I said, I'm not addressing those, I'm not talking about those people. The people I said that know, they know. At that time, they knew that something was not right about Barrow. And some even knew when Barrow came to, some people are smart enough. When Barrow went to New York, the first time Barrow went to New York and they had their meetings, some of them sussed Barrow that this guy is playing a game here. And I said, that Barrow and the APRC, and I said, I am not talking about the Emeba and Tipit. No. What Emeba did not know, why I said discounted Emeba, and he evaporated easily. Emeba made the advances, but Emeba was never trusted. Because of what? Sidinjai was a trusted one. I said Sidinjai and others. I said Alaaji Cissé. Yes, because as I remind Gambians, this deal was hatched in Dakar with Alaaji Cissé, Mam Rangers and others. These are called APRC intelligence here. Telling Barrow that you can stay in. This is radicals, we will support you, we'll do this, we'll do this. That's how it came out. And I said, when I said about sitting on the fence, that when Dabo went to Barrow's house, that's Makamukunda. What does sitting on the fence means? Some people, at times you might be in something you don't even know that way. Some people who were part of UDP and supporting Barrow, they were kind of surprised and shocked that now Barrow have been seen with Lawyer Dabo at Makamukunda and the words that Barrow said and praised Lawyer Dabo. They got scared, they went back in the fold. No, what Barrow was doing was wait till after the local government elections. Even during the local government elections, Barrow was already supporting candidates who were opposed to UDP. Papanjai was one of them. And other people who were going to be UDP candidates were supported by Barrow to be UDP candidates, but UDP suspected some of those people and they were not allowed to be candidates. They were not allowed to be candidates. And Papanjai was one of them. And we saw what happened. But I said, wait till after the elections, we see the ruthlessness of Barrow. What people don't understand then, Barrow was playing his cards. And that was the appointment of Lawyer Dabo as the vice president. In that sense, he played the UDP to reassure them that I will look after these things. No, yeah, he wanted the UDP to fall behind him. If UDP have endorsed him and at that time and everything else, yeah, he would have been cool. As I said, Barrow doesn't hate people. He just wants for himself. Anybody that comes and support him, he will go, regardless of what crime you have committed. It's about the power and wealth. It's not about governance and Gambia. He doesn't care about that. It's power and wealth. As I said, ruthlessness would be seen after the elections. And the ruthlessness was seen. The way he kind of elevated, he did not elevate Lawyer Dabo. He put Lawyer Dabo in a funny position to control as a vice president. He relegated, how to call him? The finance minister, Sane, to economic plan. Knowing that there's nothing he does there, because already Barrow have opened an office for investment, taking away the most powerful these things for economic planning, to his office. He brought in Dramé, the Dramé as local government and lands. Local government, you want to win elections, you want to control local governments and lands to be lucrative, money. Look at the people he replaced them with. Youth and sports, he brought his friend to youth and sports. The guy in ambassador in Senegal now, Amadi something. He brought in people that would be loyal to him, not people that will serve Gambia. That's why I said this is not about the dispute between UDP and Barrow. We are saying this, we are talking about the Gambia. We are talking about the Gambia. Guys, thank you very much. It's taking a long one, 2 hours, 40 minutes. I didn't want it to be this long, but that's what it is. Thank you very much. I'm very tired not to even summarize anything or close. But as I said, the country is already destabilized. They are taking time on in everywhere you looked. Look at the tourism is just gone because the selfishness of Barrow and the people around him. They allow Amaba to do whatever they want. Now we see this ecotourism gone, everything gone, the charges are gone, and these charges are directly benefiting Barrow and the people around him. Now it was Fatou Cissé, his brothers and others, they took them out. Now it's Fatim Badji, First Lady Barrow and others. Here we are. Now we have seen Barrow transform himself. The family members now are multimillionaires. They get into multimillionaire status. They are millionaires already within 3 years to 6 years. Barrow is a multimillionaire. First Lady is a multimillionaire. He have property in Seattle. He have property in Fajara, everywhere else. They have twin properties in Tangi. So many. These are the first ladies. Even the quiet one is a multimillionaire now. Because they use their families. And they're taking kickbacks. And in everything. In every business, anything that works, for the government, they will take it. Now there's no job creation. Even the OIC projects failed due to this. If they're completed, even it's a failure already. It did not maximize what it happened. We lost a lot. And many kickbacks went to these people, and the quality will not be the same as what we paid for. We lost the momentum. But again, the problem with corruption is impunity. You do anything, nothing comes out of it. Support Barrow. Now the problem is government would even want to victimize opposition, but they cannot, because they don't have the moral courage to do that. And again, the internal democracy we have to work on our internal democracy to have political parties that can hold on to the system work. The failure of internal democracy, that's why we don't even see this adjective of political parties coming out to speak. If the party leader did not come, we hardly hear anything. I mean, these are all things that we need to look at. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.